Hey guys, it's Katie at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and today is day 12 of the Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and this is series 7, so this will go through the entire month of March.
Here is a look at the sketch for day 12. Day 12. And right off the bat, you're probably thinking Christmas, somewhere along that line, but I am actually going to be using some photos from our trip to Utah. Now, I've already cut these down and matted them on white daisy, and then I'll probably do some more matting during the video. And then I've also pulled out an older collection, Into the Wild, and I have all these zip strips that I haven't used, and then I also have just some strips of paper. So I'm going to really try to use those for these pieces so I don't have to cut into another 12 by 12. I'm going to use these mountains that were cut from one of the pattern papers. So the back side to this had this pattern, and then it had these mountains. So I've already cut those out, and this actually, I must have cut it the last time I used this. So I'm going to cut those out, and then I'm going to build everything on this pattern paper, and I'm pretty sure on this side. Maybe on that side, but we'll see. So again, here is there's a part of a rainbow. We're not going to use that. So here is a look at the sketch, and let's get started. Okay, let me move those off to the side as well as that. And then let me get my cutter, and then let's just start cutting some of these pieces. Now, I definitely want a good representation of the different patterns. So I'm going to cut probably, let's do 10 inches on this one. And when I say good representation, I mean like I want, two kinds of whites. That'll work. Two kinds of the greens, the grays, all of that stuff. I might actually leave that one like it is. And then, oh yes, this is when Close My Heart had cut aboves. So you saw me use the girl one for yesterday for day 10. And so this was actually the baby boy version. And so the back side was a pattern paper, and then you could actually cut these out. So I really like this tag. So I think I'm just going to cut on this side, and then that way I can save the tag, but then I can also have that gray pattern paper right here. And one thing I love about these type of sketches is that if I have little bitty pieces, you can always trim them in half, which is what I envision doing for some of these. And then so part of it can show on the bottom and part of it can show on the top. And then I'm liking this star zip strip. I already have that one. That one's the same one. I have a lot of that one. I think it's because it came on that bulk paper. Oh, and I really like the arrows. So let's trim that down. Of course. Sometimes it helps to like add adhesive to your little bitty pieces. And that way they don't move on you. So I'm really liking the arrows. And then I think I want one of these. So let's actually keep that whole for right now. And I really like this. So I'm going to make sure that I cut that off just in case I want to use that for later. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. I'm kind of a stickler, so I'm going to trim it. See how these arrows, there's about an 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to make sure that this side also has that. Okay, I think that that's all I'm going to do. I'm I'll leave that right there just in case I want to use that little tag. Put these over here. And then pull this out. I'm really thinking this is what I want to go with for that pattern. Okay, so I know right off the bat I need to cut this because we're going to have one at the top, one at the bottom. Same thing with this, except I'm going to trim off all this excess over here so it just ends with triangles. Should have done this in my cutter, but am I the only one that can't cut a straight line with regular scissors? Not happening. I often say if my kid's life depended on it, maybe I would be able to, but I'm just not sure. It kind of blends in. Okay. We'll just have to see on that one. So I've got my white separated, and then I've got the green, and then I've got the blue. And then I really need, maybe I can bring in some cardstock. Okay, so I found another pattern paper that was hiding in all my scraps. So I'm going to cut this one to 2 1/4. And I think let's go ahead and dovetail these pieces. And then I can see how they look. Okay, so I dovetailed them all, and then I ink distressed all the edges just to kind of make it pop. And then now, but for the pieces, these larger pieces that go out to the side, I am pulling our wood grain. I think that wood is going to look really good with this. If it doesn't, if I can't find a pattern that works, I will pull, I guess, just some cardstock. So I kind of like that one. I'm going to set that one to the side. I love that you get 2 of each of these, and then they have one pattern on one side and one pattern on another. Kind of like that, right? Okay, so there's 2 so far that might do the trick, because we need 2 patterns. See, I'm thinking that that V would look good. Okay, so let me put these back in the bag and then see how these are going to look. So I definitely don't think those together. Possibly. Okay, so let's just cut. It's one good thing about having 2 patterns is I can cut them and see if they work, and if they don't, then I can use them for something else. So I'm going to go with 3 1/2 inches by 11 is what it looks like. And then the same thing. And the only reason they look weird is that one of them is centered and then the other one is completely over to the right side. So this, just to get off track right quick, this gray color is the color that we're about to do my craft room in. It's really pretty. So I don't think I'm going to do a herringbone or whatever you call this pattern, but it's going to be really pretty. Okay, so centered over to the side. Yeah, that's way too light. Aren't y'all thinking? Or maybe this is just way too much. So what might have to happen is did I not cut one of these? I guess I didn't. Okay, so let's do it. 3.5. And then 11. Oh, okay. So I'm going to cut 1/2 inch on each side. That way my center will still be in the center. What about if I do this and have this not show so much? No, still don't like that, but I do kind of like those different patterns. And I do think I'm going to trim this down to 10 inches instead of 11. Or maybe just this little 1/2 inch right here. And that way they end on the same little note. Okay, and then the sketch calls for corner rounding. I'm not a big corner rounder, so I don't think I'm going to do that. So let's lay everything out like I usually do before I start committing. I think the only thing in life I was not afraid of committing to was marrying my husband. If it is about paper products, then that's not happening. Okay, so I'm going to bring out my Versamat and just line this up. I am going to ink distress these. I guess I'll do blue. I'm going to add just a different kind of dimension. On Pinterest the other day, I actually saw blue wood floors. Yes, wood floors, but they were blue planks instead of all the variations of wood color. Which, you know, kind of makes sense. We're going to have gray wood floors in my craft room. Okay, one thing I do want to look at is see if I have another one of those. Nope. Sorry, my dog's outside chasing squirrels. And I'm just going to cut it to 5 inches just to make sure. 2 1/4. Go ahead and cut that dovetail. It makes it really easy when there's grid paper, doesn't it? I'm going to try to do it without grabbing more ink, and that's not going to work. So I'm going to get some sapphire ink over here. My roller's not in. Oh, my coffee cup's in the way. Well. Okay, so this one. So I usually like to just take them off, stack them up by ways that they get glued on, if that makes sense. So let's start gluing these down. I'm going to go with 1/2 inch. Or no, I don't want to go with 1/2 inch because my wood grain paper is going to be 1/2 inch from the edge. So I want to go with 3/4 of an inch. Three quarters. Then this blue kind of diamond pattern. And I am lining up this edge at 4 1/4. And you'll notice I'm not really pressing down on these other ones until I am sure that they're lined up. And then it doesn't really have to be, as long as it's pretty close, because you are going to have that center thing that separates them. I'm going to tuck this one under, and that one is pretty close to the 5. And I hardly, whenever I'm doing pennants, I hardly ever put glue right under the little flaps, because one thing I like doing is I like then going and kind of pushing them up. This one's going to go under as well. Just love that I was able to leave that zip strip on this pattern paper. Put it right there. And then same thing over here, and then we're done. Okay. And then on this one, I think I want the little design going down, and then I want this one centered, so those two lined up right there. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. And then if you recall, I was talking about if I ever make one-page layouts, double-page layouts. One of my favorite things to do is, like on this, as long as it's right here, then to make any layout kind of look like it belongs. The other layout would also bring in that same pattern paper, and then the companion page would be flush up to there, if that makes sense. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Okay. And then we are going to do some matting, some extra matting on this photo, I believe. Okay, I don't think I am going to do extra matting. So I want these photos 1 inch from the edge. And about 3/8 inch showing down below and above. And then I think I'm just going to use 3D foam tape for that middle photo, and then I can tuck some little embellishments and stuff all around it. So 1 inch. Okay, so let's see if the bottoms are lined up. They are. And then let's add 3D foam. I usually try to use leftover foam, but let me grab a new sheet. Okay, so if you notice, I left room to tuck a whole bunch of stuff underneath. I'm going to add just a little few dots of liquid adhesive. Just to make sure it sticks. And then I'm just trying to center the photo on that line right there. Okay, so then let's take a look at the embellishments that I have. Okay, so remember I have this. Those might be a little too big. And I think these are actually a better fit. So I'm just going to cut these out and then do the same thing, pop dot them. Usually don't like twisting my scissors if I've got straight edges. So sometimes I find that if you cut, you know, all the sides, and then you can come back and cut these sides. Sometimes a cleaner cut instead of having to worry about twisting your scissors. Even my little micro tip scissors that I love, sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so I have this. I don't want to hide that beauty. So, okay, so I have that. I have some other little trees. I have this. Okay. This would be the perfect place, but I don't want both of my greens together. So I think I'm going to put it over here. Let me take this out of the way. Sometimes that mat just kind of messes with me. Okay, so I still have a tag I can use. Okay, so for my tree, I think I'm going to cut this one off. And so I'm just going to have 2 of the mountains. I need to anchor them, so I'm thinking about bringing in one of these zip strips, or could be the other. These little arrows right here. Isn't that moose cute? So cute. I don't know if you like mooses, or what are moose? What's the plural of moose? Just moose? So yeah, thinking about anchoring that there. I will cut that off right there. And then I will also put this somewhere up there. Okay, so let's go ahead and add adhesive to this, just so I can make decisions. If I were to leave this unglued down for any more length of time, I would probably change my mind again. But if I glue it down, then I can just start building it. I can commit, and then that's it. No. Sorry, I'm going to have to twist that sideways. So I can get this under and even. Okay. Trim that off. I need some green right here. So I think I'm going to go with, let's see what I can do here. Let's just go ahead and make it work. Let's take the sticky off of this one and add some foam. Where are my foam circles that I love? And then let's do another gray one down at the bottom. I would say blue, but got a whole lot of blue going on right there. So I think gray is the way to go. And add it right there.
So I've got some trees that I went ahead and fussy cut out, and then I'm just trying to guess the placement on these. It's not going to take long to figure out where I want them. I definitely want a group at the bottom left and then at that top right, and then I will just start adhering them down with just regular tape adhesive. And then I've got these two little cute little hearts. They're almost like a sketch heart that was also from that cut apart sheet. So I'm going to glue this one on and then add just one of those little 3D foam circles to the back of that little smaller tree, just to make sure, because those mountains are have those 3D foam sheets. Just want to make sure they're kind of even. And then this little tree actually is chipboard, so I'm going to use liquid adhesive to adhere it down. And then I am going to take these little 3D foam circles and adhere those little sketchy little hearts. I hope you can see, you'll be able to see in the still photo just how cute and how sketchy those hearts are. So I was able to find 2 words on this sticker sheet that went perfect with these photos, and it says, "So fun and let's explore." So I've put those directly onto the photos, which could be for baby, or it could be for visiting Utah. And it's such a gorgeous state. We actually didn't have enough time in Zion like we wanted to. We didn't plan ahead. And so we're definitely trying to find a time to go back to Zion. So I cut that little tag in half. I left some room to tuck things behind that center photo, but just not enough. So I am going to thread, and then I remember that I need to pull out a layout that I've already done of this trip and then decide. I couldn't remember if I did jute, but I ended up looking and I actually did the mink twine. So I've just cut a little bit of that twine, fed it through that hole, and then I'm going to adhere it down and then just tie a little bow just so it can match that other layout. I'm going to straighten up this bow and then show you what I did with those little pennants.
Okay, so off camera, I went ahead and kind of put up the pennants like I was telling you about, the reason I don't adhere the ends. And on the bottom, I've already added these little 3D foam circles, but you just need a thin 3D foam, and I just like to just tuck those under there, and then that keeps that when you put it into your memory protector. It just keeps those tails from flattening out, and I just think it gives so much dimension to the layout. And so here's the layout with all the 3D foam little circles under there. And again, I think with the combination of ink distressing the edges and then doing those little flaps with the 3D foam tape, just gives the layout so much dimension.
So here are some still shots. This first photo is without the pennants flipped up and pop dotted. And then here is a look at the finished product. And you can tell just the difference between the two and just that one little detail. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I always like seeing and hearing from you guys. There will be a complete list of everyone participating in Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches down below. Thanks. Have a good weekend.